Welcome to For Formula One's Sake, the F1 podcast that requires an extra lap to heat up our rubber.
What?
Welcome to For Formula One's Sake, the F1 podcast that won't bother rebuilding Jolyon Palmer's car next time.
I mean, Renault must be so pissed off with that guy.
Dobro pozhavalot Formulu Odin Dlia podcaster Fodin u Kotorugo I etom.
What President Putin's trying to say is, welcome to Formula One's Sake, the F1 podcast that has more fans in the grandstands this year than it did last year.
Ah, spasibo.
Welcome to For Formula One's Sake, the F1 podcast that will welcome President Putin to the show about 15 minutes before the end.
I mean, to be honest, if he does walk through the curtain where we're recording, about 15 minutes to the end, I mean, I didn't realise our influence was that high.
It would be surprising.
I'm Cheeka, and today from the Picture House Central in London's bustling West End, we're going to talk about how Bottas upped his game, Palmer carried on playing his game, and Alonso wasn't allowed to start his game. Yes, it's the Russian Grand Prix. All of this, plus news, standings, our fantasy league, and in the state of F1, we will be talking about cockpit protection. That's all to come. With me is a man who has been on holiday for the bank holiday weekend. It's Phill Tromans.
Yes, I've been to the distant shores of London because I don't live in London, and we thought it'd be nice. We had an extra day this weekend in the UK. It's the bank holiday. Do they have those abroad? And as I don't live in London, I thought we'll stay in London. Stayed at a friend, stayed in a hotel last night.
Ooh.
Been doing the touristy thing. Went to the
Podcast.
cinema. Yeah, we recorded a podcast with you lot.
Which hotel did you stay in?
I stayed at the Doubletree by Hilton in Holborn.
Oh, that sounds quite
It was
posh.
quite nice. We got a bargain price. It was all right.
Don't say that, but when you say that, Hilton,
I mean, we paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you strip it bare of freebies?
Because
I mean, we're recording this, you're wearing a robe.
Have you seen these natty slippers I've got on as well?
And alongside him is a man who has been walking instead of watching racing. It's Terry Saunders.
I don't want to make people think that I'm a middle-aged man, but at the age of 37, I went on a walking weekend.
Wow.
And did a lot of walking.
And how was it?
I'm really tired. My legs hurt, and we got a bit lost.
Where were you?
From Winchelsea to Rye, and we met a man who we were walking past his house, and he went, "Are you new here?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." And he invited us in, and we went to his garden. I thought he was going to kill us. And he told us about how he said, like, you look over it. He said, "Over there, that's where Spike Milligan used to live. That's the house where Rod Hull fell off and died. Paul McCartney lives over there." Then he was like, "Oh, I've got George Harrison's birth certificate on my wall." And we were like, "What?" It was like, "Oh, as a pilot, I used to fly the Beatles around." We're just like,
wow,
just getting that way going.
Did you see it?
No, he wouldn't let us in the house. He peered through the window and said, "You can't quite see it from here." And it was very odd. Then I met another guy at the end, right? And we were sat in his seat outside a caravan, and then he kind of came out and he was like, he told us the way. Out of nowhere, he just said, "Yeah, and I was with my mum and some other friends. We were in the Isle of Man somewhere, and we just like sat chatting and stuff." And she was just like, "Oh, I was just chatting to that guy over there." Which guy? Went, "Yeah, that guy with the funny moustache. He owns the place. He races cars, apparently." Oh. And it was Nigel Mansell.
No!
And apparently the mother had said to him, "This place is nice, but the toilets need cleaning."
That's another Nigel Mansell story to add to your
So
portfolio.
So
Dirty
he links
toilets.
to him.
Dirty toilets.
Cheeka.
What have you been up to?
I am currently filled with rage.
Why?
Because
This is your Jeremy Clarkson moment. This is it.
I cycled here. Sunny cycle, bank holiday Monday, there'll be no cars on the road. I discovered bank holiday drivers. Is that a thing?
A Sunday drivers are a thing. I can only
Maybe
imagine
it's
that
the
bank
same.
holiday driver things are similar. I mean, I usually drive outside of London because London's a nightmare to drive
Yeah.
in. But no, there's some people who think, "Oh, we'll go out for a nice drive."
There was one guy who just turned right in front of me, even though he wasn't allowed to.
You're not helping your story.
Red
I was
light.
going to say, I think we're seeing the reason
He
for your
turned in
troubles.
front of me, even though it was a red light, livid. And I'm on my bike. I'm like, I'm a horrible, horrible person. I won't repeat what I said because actually my dad started listening to podcasts now. I've been working podcasts for about 4 years. I've now sat him down and was like, "This is what it is." So he started listening. So
Does he listen to this one?
Hey, Cheeka's dad.
just in case he does, I'm not going to say what I said.
Hey, go on, say it. Go on.
Move, you.
Cheeka!
The man just stopped and shouted at me, and it was just very stressful. And then I turned to write chicken and didn't shout back.
I think I might be a bad influence on you.
Let's begin, as we always do, with you, the public, as we shuffle gormlessly towards Listener's Corner. We asked you what you thought of the Russian Grand Prix, and you answered with less enthusiasm than Chase Carey and Vladimir Putin might have hoped for. Matthew Restaino said, "It was bloody awful. Certain people will say it's a classic as the leader was being chased down, but there was no chance of Vettel overtaking. Same as there was no way Raikkonen could overtake Verstappen. Track position is king. There were no overtakes in the whole race."
That's true. That's the statistic that's damning of all. There was a couple of overtakes on like the opening corner.
First lap, yeah.
And then there was not a single overtake for the rest of the race.
It's not great,
pit
is it?
stops.
So boring.
Because I was out walking, I was trying to avoid it. And there's got to be some kind of phone setting that says don't ruin the sport result for me. Because I tried to be really good and avoid it, and then just suddenly got like a retweet of
Well, it's
well
turn
done.
your phone off.
Yeah, but I need it because I'm lost in the bloody countryside.
Put it on flight mode or turn all your notifications off.
Oh God!
I turned data off, but I was off going for lunch with my mum. She looked at who won, and she went, "Oh, that's really good for him. Really pleased for him."
Oh.
Obviously,
Well, that
that's
could have been
Bottas.
anyone.
No,
No, it could have been.
was
That's
Bottas.
really good for Palmer, isn't it? Oh, hasn't he done well? He's
He
had a
would
lot
have
of
been
trouble.
like, "Fuck off!" If it was Palmer.
Hi,
Mike
Colin, if you're
Sibley.
listening.
Mike Sibley said, "I thought the mountains looked magnificent in the background every lap until I fell asleep."
I commented on the same thing to my wife, actually. I said, don't those mountains look really nice in the background of the circuit?
Maybe they should put the track on the mountains.
I mean,
That'd make it more
elevation
exciting.
changes is always good for a circuit. They could use a bit more.
Especially the bit when between corners 14 and 15, they have to get a ski lift. And each car just has to get on.
Yeah,
This is a slow point of the lap for the Williams.
It says a lot about the quality of the race when we're sort of going, oh, isn't the landscape nice?
It's just shit. And, can we talk about Putin? Vladimir Putin, one of the most powerful men in the world, and frankly, a corrupt
Allegedly.
No, not allegedly.
Our lawyers say.
Allegedly. And he comes up at the end of the race with Bernie Ecclestone.
Who's
like-
desperately trying to get on camera. Did you see that? He kept
Hi,
waving
me,
to the
me,
camera,
me,
but
me, me,
they
me, me.
kept
He just seems sort of
going
bouncing up from
Yeah,
the bottom of the frame
yeah.
like a
Just
sort of
seriously,
dog
and
on a trampoline.
I mean, obviously, Formula 1 drivers don't want to get involved in politics. They're not going to say anything. I mean, it would be great. I mean, because everything they said, and then Putin's translator just said, he's saying that there's more people here this year than last year. And it's like, okay, that's really interesting. I mean, what would be great if Kimi Raikkonen was really the deadpan hero we think he is. It'd be great if he just said, are there more people here this year than last year? Could you tell me? Something I mean, he could say something about why do you hate gay people, but he could, that would have been a good thing to say.
Yeah.
Because
None of them went there. It was
They
bizarre.
were all a bit
Well, I was,
sucky-yucky,
I was
weren't
thinking
they?
along
I thought
similar
even
lines.
Vettel might.
I was thinking along similar lines. I was like, what's really going to happen? They're not going to chuck you in prison. They're not going to stop you
come
coming back to
on.
race. What are they going to do? I mean, they're Formula 1 drivers and they've got the cameras on them. And they're not,
Come on.
They only do that
Don't
in
be
the.
so naive, right? I was
They
thinking
would.
this.
They would only do that. I mean, they'd probably get stabbed in the leg with an umbrella when they're back home 3 weeks later or something.
I had my post-race bath, which is a tradition in my family, and I was lying in the bath and I was thinking, if I was
The
a
room
Formula
of
1 driver
awkwardness.
and I was on the podium of this race, I would have used the opportunity to say something to Putin against, gay rights. Or, not against gay rights. I think what you're doing
I'm
is
with
great.
you.
Yeah. Oh God. I just think what would happen then? That driver would be someone famously showing up Putin, and he would be dead within 6 months. Right?
He'd have a mysterious accident in testing.
Yeah, there'd be a mysterious testing accident. There'd just be, he'd just be shot on the way out of the paddock. Anything. So, in that way, you go, well, you've got to just shake his hand and go, well, there's more people here this year than last year. That is fascinating.
Well, Bottas
Vlad.
had a go. Did you hear what Bottas said?
No, what did he say?
Because apparently the translator dude was going, all the hotels around here are sold out. And Bottas apparently, I didn't see this, but I read about it. Bottas said, well, maybe you should build more hotels. Ooh. I mean, that's as close to controversial as we're going to get, I think.
I mean, of course,
Sassy Bottas.
the thing is, I can't speak Russian. I mean, that's what the translator kept saying. Maybe he just said, I think your sport is disgusting, you disgust me, and I hate the West. You are the epiphany of the West, and I think all of you...
The epiphany.
Epitome. It's a bad translation. My Russian is not great. You're the epitome of the West, and I think that this sport is terrible. You should all die. And then the translator goes, I'm not fucking saying that. So there's more people here in the hotels than there are last year.
Matt Gamlin said, it's a bollocks circuit that needs to go. That was the 4th time they've been there and they've had one good race. The only thing that made it remotely interesting was the various strategies.
I really like the big, long left-hand corner that sort of goes round the round building, whatever it is from the Olympics. I don't think it's that bad a track, but I've talked about this before. It's the bloody cars. They're too reliant on aero, and it means you can't get near to each other, and that's why. I don't blame the circuit.
This is the most boring race of the season so far.
Yeah, those cars have managed to overtake a bit in the other races. Not a lot of overtaking, but more than in Russia.
Well, we've had exciting races in Russia before, as even
we've had
even
one
Matt
exciting
suggests.
race in Russia out of 4 races.
I mean, in F1 terms, that's pretty good going.
This track is awful.
Even Valencia had good races. Even Monaco has good races.
This track is awful. It's in the middle of nowhere. No one likes it. Right, I was listening to the BBC coverage afterwards, the radio coverage, and all the people they're just on the way to the plane. They are desperate to get out of there. As soon as the race is over, they are all running. Alonso was probably halfway across.
Alonso was annoyed that there were no earlier flights to the States, because I think he wanted to leave early, but there weren't any earlier ones than the one he planned to get to go and test his Indy cars.
I mean, there
was just a shot of him in the middle of the race looking really grumpy, sat in the garage.
But he did say, I'm the best driver ever, so that's fine.
Yeah, and Honda is shit, which is pretty much what all his interviews are like now.
Moving on, Sauber are putting their genitals in the shitstorm of a Honda engine. The Swiss team have reached a deal with the Japanese manufacturer that will see them cozy up from 2018. Can massive failure plus desperate also-rans combine to create greatness? Ian Montgomery said, I think it's a great idea. Honda need data, and they will succeed. Good for Sauber in the next few years.
That is very optimistic, Ian. Based on the evidence of the last, 2-3 years, is it now?
I mean, they will have double the data. They will have double the failures, double the... they will be able to pinpoint in half the time where they've gone wrong. So by this way, I would say by 2020, they may be,
maybe not getting worse
for
every single race. No, I mean, again, optimism.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we're a stuck record with Honda. I mean, they just get worse and worse.
Well, they're
and worse.
feeling.
I think Ian works for Honda.
I think he does.
Richard Stevenson said, Sauber have achieved the impossible. They found a way to go even slower. Apart from signing Jolyon, that is.
That would be an interesting thought experiment. How could you make the worst possible Formula 1 team?
Sauber Honda.
Sauber Honda.
Right,
Jolyon
Sauber
Palmer.
Honda. I mean, you probably want to go more like Manor Honda, and you want to say have Jolyon Palmer, and you want maybe Nick Maldonado in that car.
Who would be the team manager or the principal?
Who was the guy who ran catering to the ground? He was like the Ryan, the OVO guy, the money guy.
Stephen Fitzpatrick. Well, he was the owner. Who was the chap who was literally one of the administrators who came in for like 2 races?
Yes, there's
what was his name? I can't remember his name. And he did a load of interviews and didn't look like he had a clue what was going on.
Yeah, they'll just drive.
All right,
we'll get him.
We'll get him.
Great. In fact, that's going to be. I'm going to invent that as a game for next year.
Well,
shit F1.
Not fantasy, like sort of utter nightmare F1.
Well, Sam Miguel Wallbank posted a picture of Jean-Luc Picard face-palming, while Ian Cummings posted a picture of Fred Flintstone's car and said, literally, this would be better. They'd get further than Alonso at least.
This is getting very meta. We're describing memes on a podcast. It doesn't matter. Sauber are currently racing around with year-old Ferraris, and somehow they think a new Honda is going to be better.
In fairness to Honda and all their utter shitness, McLaren, well, the one McLaren that started and indeed finished the race, did finish in front of the Saubers. Van Dorn was quicker. I don't know if that was because of Van Dorn or because of McLaren or because of Honda, but it does seem like Sauber are in really dire straits.
Not that much to be proud of, is it?
No,
finishing
true.
in front of Sauber.
But I mean, maybe Sauber are thinking, okay, well, let's go with the team that are quicker than us.
At least if we get Honda engines, we can finish behind McLaren. Oh, what?
Well, at least then they'll have a reasonable excuse.
But there are rumours that Honda may no longer be with McLaren.
Yeah, next year. Officially, this Honda deal with Sauber, which is now all official and has happened, is that they will be a customer team, and so the factory Honda team will be McLaren. But Eddie Jordan, who we all know and love, has said that he doesn't think Honda will be with McLaren next year. And while...
Did he give a reason?
Because they've been so utterly shit. He says they're talking to Mercedes and will go back to Mercedes. He's pretty confident. And while Eddie Jordan is in many ways a massive bellend, he's not that often wrong. He does know his stuff.
You're right.
He has very good contacts.
He does often say something that turns out to be true, but I can't really believe this because the amount of money that McLaren get from Honda, the sheer wasting 3 years.
I mean, at what point do you just think, well, this is a fucking lost cause? They've had 3 years and they're not getting any better.
Yeah, but they have signed up for Mercedes consultancy. Mario Ilian, is that how you say his name? He's gone in apparently to Honda. So they've finally gone, all right, we need some help. Let's get some help.
This is true.
You'd hope
You would, and also to jump
They
on
get a
your side
podium
of the
by
argument
Barcelona.
for a second, that like if they do go to Mercedes, what's the long-term likelihood of success there?
Battling Williams.
Well, exactly. I mean, if they were the only customer team like they had been before, then maybe that would work. But Mercedes have got their own team. They're not going to want McLaren to be beating them.
Williams are a good team. Do you see them anywhere near sniffing for a win? No. They're the best Mercedes customer team. No fucking chance.
Okay, well, you can tell us how wrong we are. Tweet us at For F1's Sake, or you can find us on Facebook where we're FF1S, or you can email us at wrong@ff1s.com. So let's return to the Russian Grand Prix, which was 52 laps, approximately 7 of which were worth watching in order to know what went on during the race. So we'll start with Mercedes. Now, after 4 years and 80 starts, we saw Valtteri Bottas standing tall, showing some emotion and maybe shedding a tear, or more likely had hay fever, to the Finnish national anthem. Hamilton allegedly had cooling issues and an odd weekend, which I think that could mean updating his Instagram story while driving. But to be fair, I'd give that a like. Now, was this a one-off for Bottas, or will we be seeing more of that adorable man coming home first?
Oh, right. So,
Thus
week,
F1 was summed up.
last time out, I think quite fairly slagged off Bottas as a no-hoper, also ran, not a chance. And although I'm glad he's obviously listened and had a little pep talk from my slagging off, come on, this was good, but no.
I mean, he won. What more could he do?
But to be fair, he did a really good start, got to the front,
Yeah.
but he was in the fastest car at the front.
Well, not judging by the rest of the weekend, he wasn't. Because Ferrari were everywhere up until the race. Ferrari were 1-2 on the grid. They were fastest in practice.
So why didn't Vettel get past?
I feel that Bottas did very well this weekend. Well done him, blah, blah, blah. He wins a race. What's the first thing he says? Oh, it took a while. That was 80 races.
I think the first thing he said, actually, was, fuck me.
Well, that was good. I like that. Then he's like, and every interview I saw with him, he's just like, it took a while, 80 races, it could have been quicker. And it's like, do you know what? You were in a Williams with no chance of winning up until 4 races ago, and you've won a Mercedes in 4 races. Show a bit of gratitude, you bellend.
But he's Finnish. They're a famously reserved people.
I don't give a shit.
Wow.
I'm not impressed
Okay.
with his reaction. Driving, sublime. Driver of the weekend, fantastic. But attitude, needs some work.
Despite his attitude, do you think that Mercedes could extend this contract? Because
No.
it's only a year, isn't it?
No, they'll get a superstar in next year. Ricardo or someone will be there next year.
Would you prefer that Bottas was a bit, sort of learned a few things from Eddie Jordan's attitude on the podium?
What,
'Cause
being a drunk at a wedding?
He was exuberant, he was enthusiastic. Is that not what you want from your...
Eddie Jordan came on the podium and said that was the most exciting race I've ever seen.
Yeah,
It's like,
that
"Do
was
you
a
know
little
what?
bit nonsense.
Do you know what, Eddie? Stop it. His pocket bulging with rubles. He was like, this was amazing. And do you know what? There were more people here in the hotels than there were last year. Wow.
What happened to Hamilton?
He didn't have a very good weekend, didn't he? But as far as I can tell, this race has appeared to be a lot more exciting interesting, should I say, reading all the sort of after the fact reviews.
I thought this.
It was
a
all
great
about-
race on paper.
Yeah, it was all about the tyres and very technical stuff about getting the tyres switched on and the difference between getting the surface of the tyres and the core of the tyres at the right temperature and if they worked. And it appeared that Hamilton just couldn't get his car set up to get the tyres right. Like his style of driving, if he took the same settings as Bottas all through the sort of practice and stuff, didn't do the same thing as Bottas managed to get. So for whatever reason, fiddling with the car setup, fiddling with the tyres, fiddling with the diff, couldn't get him the right setup where he could get the tyre to work properly. And then it was in the race. It was also something that affected all the top 4. Apparently, it was warmer than they were expecting, and because they were so close between Mercedes and Ferrari, everyone had turned their engines up as high as they could possibly go. And because it was slightly hotter, they were suddenly faced with cooling issues. And
I would say that Hamilton is a reverse or an inverse Raikkonen. Raikkonen can never get his car set up right. Every now and again he will, and he'll do really well.
Whereas Button as well was the same.
Yeah, Hamilton almost always gets it perfect, and then when he doesn't, he's nowhere. That was this weekend.
Well, Hamilton was always quite good, and Alonso's good at this as well. Until this weekend, Hamilton was always quite good at driving around a not perfect car. He had that sort of breadth of talent that meant, okay, if he got it perfect, he was amazing, but if he didn't, he was still pretty fucking good.
Maybe
And
he just
couldn't
doesn't
seem to
like
get it
Russia.
together. Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so Ferrari. Now, in qualifying, Raikkonen answered his critics by nearly doing really well before mucking it up and somehow making second place on the grid be really disappointing. Vettel's chances of hope and glory were crushed on turn 1, but he was putting serious pressure on Bottas at the end. Now, do you reckon a few more laps could have meant that Vettel could have won?
This happens every bloody week. There's always a thing going, oh, there's 5 more laps you'd have got past. I think I've said this before. I might make this a future state of F1. Each team should have a joker extra 5 laps of a race they can use once in a season. So Ferrari go, right, we're playing our joker. There's an extra 5 laps on this race.
That's cool.
That's a good idea.
Well, I would
Apart from
suggest
fuel and tyres and
I would
stuff,
suggest that
work.
if you look at the race and the amount that overtaking that took place in the race, I would say that judging by that, adding an extra 5 laps to the end would mean that no overtaking took place.
But what if he has an extra 5 laps and Bottas hasn't got 5 laps of fuel because Mercedes didn't think they'd use the extra 5 lap joker? It's brilliant.
You might be onto something. But no, he wouldn't have got past because it's really hard to overtake around Russia and in these cars. And anyway, Massa was there to, go, hey!
But Raikkonen almost looked like his former self. He could have got a pole.
He was quick, yeah, he drove all right.
Then that last corner of quali, he just kind of goes, oh, I fucked it up. And just like, you go, go home, old man, go to bed.
Red Bull. Well, this was heartbreaking. On lap 6, we said goodbye to our favourite Aussie, whose rear brake was on fire, and then for the rest of the race, we kept getting shown different angles of Ricciardo's sad face, followed by brave wave. Did they not think about what he was doing to us? Do you reckon he's regretting extending his contract with Red Bull to 2018?
Why are Red Bull so shit? This was supposed to be their year.
Adrian Newey's phoned it in.
This is just like, they are awful, and this is just...
Well, I mean, they're not as good as the top 2, but they're still better than everybody else.
Yeah, but come on. I could be better than Williams. They're just... It's rubbish. It's absolutely disappointing. And
However, Red Bull have promised updates.
Haven't they all?
Yeah, apparently
Podium
in
by
Barcelona they're going to have a heavily revised car. And I mean, I don't want to put words into their mouth, but maybe they think they could get a podium by Barcelona.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever.
It's going to be a very large podium if everybody's predictions come correct, isn't it?
Everyone is joint third.
They just literally come 7 abreast over the line.
I don't know. I mean, that rear brake thing was a bit weird, wasn't it?
It looked like something...
Yeah.
I saw the shot of the brake afterwards and it looked like something was rubbing. I don't know if he'd hit somebody and the actual rim was rubbing on the brake, because it looked like it wasn't just the fact that it was too hot. It looked like
Probably the
there'd been
spy
friction.
cameras the Russians put into the wheel.
Probably
Kind
is,
of way.
yeah.
We'll just put that in, go back to Milton Keynes, spy
What
on
about
them.
what about Verstappen? He wasn't doing anything exciting in this race,
He was
was he?
sat on his own for the most of the race, wasn't he? Because he was way quicker than everybody else, but
Oh,
he couldn't get anywhere near.
But Terry, Verstappen's so amazing. It doesn't matter what he does. He'll always win races. Oh, year 2 of Red Bull and Verstappen's chugging along on the road on his own.
Excuse me,
midfield.
Terry. You were the one that was like, I take it that. You were right. Verstappen is very, very good.
If I didn't know you better, Terry, I'd say you were jumping on every bandwagon going.
I jump on the bandwagon and then just as it goes into the cliff, I jump off. That's what I do. I hold my thumb out for the next bandwagon. No one's noticed this before. I don't have any leeches. I don't care. It's all shit.
There was one point in the race when I was looking through it. It shows the gaps between everybody on the top left of the screen in seconds. And there was one point where like everybody was about 30 seconds behind the next closest person. And I think that was the story of Verstappen's race.
Best bit of the
wasn't
race
it? Just
was
sat on his own.
just after Bottas wins, that all the 3-letter codes of the drivers become their full surnames. Did you notice that?
Saw that. I like
That was
that.
amazing. I reckon they should make that more interesting and just have the codes be like encrypted, so you don't know which driver's which. And at the end, you go, "Oh, it was Bottas." Oh. Which, let's go back to that radio message of Raikkonen when he went, "How is Bottas ahead of me?" They're like, "He's been in the lead the whole time." Oh, oh, I thought it was the other guy. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so Williams. Stroll finished. Yes, he had a spin, but that didn't stop him. And Bottas owes Massa a Christmas card. Now, how do you feel about Massa's antics in the closing laps?
It didn't look particularly vicious or pernicious or any other kind of vicious.
No, I don't think it was that bad, but I don't. The thing is, what
But I suppose every quarter of a second counts in that kind of situation.
with Paul Daniels? No, just me. That basically when Bottas got past Massa, that was it. Game over. There was no way that Vettel, even if Massa just parked the car and let Vettel go by, there was no way that it was on the last lap. So that's one corner of a potential overtake left. There was absolutely no chance. But it didn't hurt.
It didn't stop
Massa.
Vettel mouthing off a bit, did it?
Yeah, but that's what he does, isn't it?
He is getting quite moany.
But if you think about it, Massa is only driving this year because of Bottas, because of he's driving in Bottas's car.
Terry, don't mention that name. Every episode. We're going to break the beat machine.
I forget this is a rule. The thing is, I don't care about him anymore.
And yet you keep talking about him.
Oh, God.
What does that say?
I'm over him.
Are you, though?
I'm not over him.
Right, let's do Sauber. Well, this was a disaster. When you both end up finishing behind the McLaren, things are really not going your way. And they also said there's going to be updates for Barcelona. Should we get excited for them either?
No. I think when even you can't get enthusiastic about Verline in any way, you know it's a pretty bad weekend.
Yep.
It's hard to see them getting any better because
Honda engines, brilliant.
I mean, Jesus Christ! If that's your sort of light at the end of the tunnel, is a Honda engine.
I mean, there could be an argument to say that because they're so focused on themselves, they haven't noticed how bad the Honda is, and they're just going, right, what's on the rest of the grid? I don't know. Oh, Honda want to give us their engines? Well, Honda, I've heard of them.
They make great lawnmowers.
They're great.
My neighbour had an S2000 and I loved it.
Okay, well, let's talk about Force India, because we're really running out of things to say about Sauber. Now, they were good. They were made really quite good, though, by Williams being shit. Ocon was impressive, but more importantly, he is adorable. And they both brought home points. Is this the best they can do?
They're outperforming themselves. They shouldn't be this high up. They're doing very well.
Yeah, again, I mean, it's similar to as they did last season, isn't it? I mean, they're kind of
very good.
I don't know how we're not noticing them when they've got bright pink cars, but I really haven't noticed them during any races at all yet. Yet somehow you look at it and they go, oh, they're both in the points again.
Last few years they've done this. They always just seem to be like 5th or 6th or something or thereabouts.
Their owners in jail.
Yeah.
Or deported or something.
They're sponsored by a water company. Their owner's in jail. No one cares. And do you know what Ocon looks like?
Oh,
yes.
So sweet, isn't he?
I don't know. I've just realised I don't know what he looks like.
Oh, he's...
He could walk in here and I'd be
he's
like...
adorable, according to Cheeka.
Yeah. If you hear an interview with him... Oh, he's so sweet.
Oh, why? What do you mean? Is he just saying?
He's not egotistical. And he was really happy.
I'm showing Terry a picture now.
Oh,
barely reached puberty.
Yeah, but can barely reach the wheels.
Hey! Now, if I told you on Saturday night that Grosjean and Palmer would have a crash, who do you think would have caused it?
Well,
don't care.
Okay.
I wish you stopped texting me Saturday nights. Got stuff on. Jesus.
So basically what I did is I read an interview with Jolyon Palmer and he explained what happened in the Palmer-Grosjean crash.
Oh, I see.
And I thought maybe you guys could try and guess what he said.
Oh, so we're filling in the blanks.
This interview. Fill in the gap.
Well, heading down to turn 2, there was a Sauber on my outside, blank. Then we were both at the race.
So somewhere between there was a Sauber on my outside and then we were both at the race, there's a reason that he put in there.
It wasn't my fault.
He would have blamed someone. So I'm going to say that there was a Sauber on my outside and what was I supposed to do? I've never been loved. And then we were both at the race.
I think he's saying, heading down to turn 2, there's a Sauber on my outside. And I thought, oh, that's nice. What a pretty colour. And then we're both at the race.
There's a Sauber on my outside and a Sauber on my inside, and here I
thought, they got 25th anniversary. That's really special for them. I'm really happy. I hope when I'm 25, I'll do something of value.
Maybe you saw the Sauber and thought there's a large space there. I could advertise Brands Hatch and Snetterton.
I'm a champion.
I'm a winner.
And I said to myself, I could do this. You could do this, Jocelyn. Don't listen to them. That fucking Terry on that podcast. Not that I listen.
And then we were both at the race.
I was.
So what he actually said was, heading down to turn 2, there was a Sauber on my outside. Then Roman made a very ambitious move over to the curbs on the inside from behind. There was no space for me to go because of the Sauber. So maybe Roman wasn't aware of that, but he kept in and he hit me. And then we were both out of the race. So, he was, very willing to accept the blame there, I think.
Technically, it wasn't his fault. He got bashed by Grosjean.
I have to say, yeah.
And then in a weird twist of fate, I don't quite understand the physics. Grosjean bashed him, and then somehow that meant that he, on the next corner, bashed Grosjean back. It was very weird.
That's because he did a big swerve, didn't he?
So even when it wasn't his fault, he still managed to crash into somebody else.
Crashed into him, and then Grosjean was in the air.
It was amazing. It was a good old-fashioned
was.
crash. But at the same time, when that happens, right, there is an option. I know this is against Formula 1 drivers, but you could slow down a bit, back out of the crash, and then carry on.
I mean, they were
That's
going
what
quite
Alonso would have done.
They were going quite slowly already because it was the first corner. They'd all break down to nothing. In fairness to Palmer, I did think that was Grosjean's fault. But also in fairness to Palmer, going the other way, he did tits it up massively in qualifying.
And in
when he
practice.
Well, his engine died in practice. Was
Did
that
you-
Yeah,
his
but
he
didn't he
crashed-
also crash his car in practice,
Yeah,
and then
crashed
they
it.
had to rebuild it? Then he did qualify, and they had to rebuild his car. To the point that I would imagine that if I was a Renault mechanic, I'd just go, look, just put fucking cornflake boxes on it, because he's
doesn't
not going to
fucking
do more
matter.
than a lap, so it doesn't fucking matter. I'm not going to sit and waste 7 hours for him to just ruin it in a minute.
So back to Hayes. The team were experimenting with new brakes this weekend.
Yeah, they worked well, didn't they?
They worked very well.
Well, they-
'cause Grosjean was stopped solidly after the first lap.
Well, I think because they were with Brembo and they were not happy with Brembo and they were trying Carbon Industries is the new company. I can't remember.
Terrible
Something
name.
like that.
That's a terrible name for a brake company.
And they
There's
tried
so
it in
many
practice.
good names you could have for a brake company. It's the
Such
brakes,
as
brake.
these are the brakes.
Stop right
Them's
now.
the brakes.
These are the brakes.
Them's the brakes. Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Oh, that
Well,
was
that's
goodbye.
that's the headline for arse, isn't it? But yeah, they tried them in practice and went back to the Brembos, and it went very badly. Grosjean's brakes didn't work well enough, and he piled into Palmer.
Magnussen could have been in the points, but he got a 5-second penalty for not knowing where the fucking track was.
Yes.
What happened?
I think he
drove
just cut a
somewhere.
corner.
I wasn't quite because they never actually showed it, did they? But my understanding, if you go off at the first corner, they put that thing in last year where you have to go round the cone. You can't just go straight back onto the track.
And he just
I
went
wonder if
straight
that
back
was
onto
something
it. I
to
think
do
it's
with it. I mean,
somewhere
I'm
like
guessing. I don't know, but it was at turn
I'd love
2.
to
So
try and work that one out. Somebody has to run out and put a cone and be like, radio him, tell him to go round the cone.
it was essentially like that. So I'm wildly speculating that that's what he did, and he got in trouble for it because somebody else got in trouble for it at the same time.
Let's go on to Renault then. So it was a very good drive from Hulkenberg. However, I bet he wished he still drove for Force India. He did a slight late stop, but I don't think it did much. And Palmer is still going to be a champion.
2017 Whinging Wanker Award champion.
Now, what are these rumours about Alonso heading back to Renault?
Well, I mean, Renault would surely love to have Alonso back because he'll win another championship for them. That's what he does.
Well, there was an interview I read with Cyril Labiteboul, who is the team principal at Renault, who said, I think, reading between the lines slightly, I think he basically said, look, we'd love to have him back, but we don't think we're going to be winning for at least a couple of years, so if he does come back, he's going to have to be in for the long haul. I can't see it, personally, but...
Well, why would he give up such an amazing chance of driving in a McLaren that doesn't start to finish in the points?
I think he's hoping for a Mercedes seat next year, but I don't know how well that's
Not a
going to go.
chance, not a
But
chance.
maybe he'll just say fuck it and go to Indy, because he did go to Indy between the last race, between Russia and the race before.
If anything, this race
And had
just
a lovely
got-
time.
Yeah, this race just got in the way of his Indy preparation.
Well, exactly. Yeah, he was over in Alabama, meeting his new teammates for the Indy 500. Apparently, enjoyed it greatly. Found that all the drivers are quite nice. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if he just slacks it off and goes off to IndyCar. And then once he's managed to get the 500, goes to Le Mans.
Toro Rosso! If Toro Rosso did anything interesting in the race, then it was when I was enthralled in Hamilton's Instagram. Now, did I miss anything?
Sainz got the last point. He did all right.
Yeah,
Considering it was his home race with Putin's backing, and presumably
got
you'd
lapped.
think he'd score higher than 12.
According to Russian media, he won by several laps in a car that Putin built himself. Sainz had a 3-place penalty for his wicked ways in Bahrain, and yeah, I suppose he did quite well to come back from that and get some points. Didn't see
Turns
much
out a nice livery isn't enough, is it?
McLaren then.
Oh,
sweet Jesus.
I have sincere sympathy and frankly pity for McLaren's press officer. How much longer can they keep this up? Van Dorn had the less horrendous weekend of the two drivers, coming home in 14th, and they said he got the best from his car but was unable to challenge any of the runners ahead of him. AKA, we have really good drivers and really shit cars and have to be honest that we're running out of ways to put that. If you were Eric Boulier, now, what would you do?
just kill myself.
I mean, I'd just resign. I wouldn't go quite that
what's
far.
the point? What was amazing about McLaren this weekend was there was a test we haven't mentioned in Bahrain after the race a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
And in the test, Van Dorn did like a whole day where they were like something like 8th fastest. They were doing really well. The engine lasted the whole test. They were quite quick, and their official statement was, "We haven't got a fucking clue. We don't know why we're doing so well."
Let's clarify that. I think the first day of the test, it only lasted 2 laps,
Wow,
and
you know.
then they got it working.
Details.
And yeah, there were these bizarre headlines that McLaren stunned by not breaking down or something like that.
But we've learned some lessons. We'll be back in Russia where Alonso won't start the race.
This seems to be the trouble, is that McLaren, maybe it's Honda, maybe it's McLaren, they don't seem to understand what's going on. Whether it's good or bad, they don't know why. And that is an awful place to be in.
Yeah.
Because if you don't understand why something's happened, okay, maybe it's a nightmare to try and fix it, but at least if you understand what went wrong, you can do something. But if you have no fucking clue whether you're going to do 80 laps or one, or none in Alonso's case, where are you supposed to go? What can you do? You can't do any experimentation or anything.
Stupid.
It's just a nightmare. Van Dorn started at the back because he's already used all his... He had a 15-place grid penalty or something because he's already used all of his...
Just all of it, the lighter, the remote control, everything, all the stuff that Honda have shoved in there. You go, we found an old toy car. Oh, here's an old toaster. That's all of it's gone in. Oh, we've had to use another one. We've got through 4 toasters this year. So
we're 4 races into how many races this year? 20, 19?
700.
And he's already used everything he's allowed, so it's just penalty city for him from now on. So he's always going to start at the back.
Penalty city, there's a chance they'll get a podium.
So that was the teams. Now let's do the standings after the Russian Grand Prix.
Okay, and the standings are: in the lead of the championship is Fuck Massa. That's Vettel with 86 points. In second place, feeling hot is Lewis Hamilton. He's having a lovely day in the sun, isn't he? Bottas is third took a fucking while, and fourth is think I need help. Fifth, my career is waning. That's poor little baby Max Verstappen. Oh, bless him. In sixth place, best pink car in the race, and in seventh, liar pants on fire, or rather rear brakes. Eighth is Carlos Sainz, and it's going very well, but I feel very empty. And ninth place is Valerie, you owe me, right? And no one knows what I look like. Well, we've changed that now. So in 10th. And 11th is, honestly, Palmer is a wanker. I should know, I'm his teammate. Next place, I've mucked the numbers up. I don't know where this is 12th place. Magnussen is training to be an accountant because he's so bored. And 13th place, fuck Palmer. Oh, another Palmer hater on the grid. That's at least 2. It's the French guy. And finally, with 2 points from Russia with love, the only Russian on the grid. Work it out. And the Constructors' Championship. Team number 1, 136 points. Bottas ruined our day. Second place is 135 points, 1 point behind. Eddie Jordan ruined our day. We're having a great day. He ruined it. And in third place, Adrian Newey's ruined our day. And in fourth place, our day was fine, thanks. By the way, our principal is in jail. Fifth place, Stroll is ruining our season. But, oh, look, there's a big pile of money. Sixth place, Youth Receding has ruined our day. In seventh place, Palmer has ruined our day. And in eighth place, with 8 points, eighth place with 6 points, Palmer has ruined our fucking weekend. So Palmer, again, not popular. Not a popular guy. Don't like him.
We should start doing a Palmer report.
I think we have been.
Now it is time for the 2017 FF1S Grand Prix Fantasy League powered by Grid Rival.
Thank you, Cheeka. Yes, it is. Let's go through the top 5. So after 4 rounds, we have got a fairly close battle at the top. And then looking at the numbers closely, I can see it's not actually that close. But between 4th and 5th, it's very close. In 5th place is Peace and Furious, who did very well last race and are now within 20 points of 4th place, testing 1, 2, 3. In 3rd place, Flymo enters the pits. It's a Moa joke. It's quite good.
Honda, they make... I mean,
Flymo's
I reckon the
another
McLaren
company, but...
Flymo would do better.
I'd love to see that in the future. Who knows? 10 years down the line.
Well, it's orange, isn't it?
Yeah. In 2nd place, it's just the simple name, Platypus. On 2,252 points. And in the lead, with a good 50-point margin, is Mercedes-Benz AMG.
So it could be just a really boring team name, or it could actually be Toto Wolff has joined our league. And he's just really good at this.
Well, I mean, I'd imagine Toto's got a new baby, so he's probably up in the night quite a lot, bored, just sort of, trying to get the baby to go to sleep.
Because that's what being a new parent's like, is it?
I think especially if you're a multi-millionaire.
Do you have a lot of time for fantasy Formula 1?
Yes!
So well done, Mercedes-Benz AMG. Let's see if you can keep it up for the rest of the season. Now to the FF1S Micro League, which is basically how we're doing within everything. And we'll go in reverse order, which unfortunately begins with me, Tin Duck Racing. I am on 1,851 points. I didn't do very well in the last round because I sort of forgot that one of my drivers had was out of contract. and I forgot to renew it. So I only raced with 4 drivers instead of 5.
In a way, that's what Renault are wishing would happen with them this week. They just
Indeed.
go, we didn't realise that Jocelyn's contract had run out. Sorry, guys.
And it's what, in effect, McLaren did this weekend as well, because Alonso didn't even start the race. So I'm really adopting proper Formula 1 tactics here and doing suitably terribly as a result. In 32nd overall is Terry's team, Let's Get Fwonky.
Yep, proud of it.
Can you just give us, how's that meant to be said?
I'm a big fan of Rick and Morty, and if you've not watched that, I recommend it. And there's an episode where they have to sing a song called Let's Get Swifty, and you watch it, it'll make sense. And apparently, in the stock exchange where the Formula 1 are floated, for some reason, unbeknownst to anyone in the world, the Formula 1 official code is FWONK.
Is it really?
Yeah. Formula 1 something group, and they've gone, Formula 1 FWON, and they put a K on the end. FWONK. So yeah, they're called FWONK. That's how the financial world sees our sport. FWONK.
Well, Let's Get Fwonky is on 1927 points. And running away with it at the moment and kicking our behinds is Cheeka's team, Nice Haas, on 2,104 points, 9th overall. Cheeka, what's your secret?
I can't give that away.
Okay.
Great. Brilliant. Thanks.
Thanks very much. Well, that'll make for a good segment. Any tips for our listeners out there based on your success on what they should or shouldn't do?
Marry well.
Are you suggesting that Cheeka is perhaps not blazing a trail for women in motorsports?
I've said too much.
Cheeka, what's he talking about, Cheeka?
I've had a bit of help, some guidance.
Is it from Toto Wolff?
Yes, he rung me earlier. He said, mate, you don't look like you're doing well enough. I want you to beat those boys.
I want you to beat those boys.
I want you to beat those boys.
That's really good.
Well, anyway, so that's how we're getting on. I'll be honest, I think you guys can probably do better. And it's not too late to join. If you do want to join, there's a clever algorithm that means that even if you've missed the first 4 races, you can join in now and still be in with a chance of winning. And you need to go to this address, Terry.
FF1S.com/gridrival.
That's good. You got it first time.
Yeah. I just, let's not joke about it. I mean, I could set it up as www.ff1s.com/ hey, this is where the Grid Rival link should be.
Can you do that?
Yep.
Okay, listeners, give that a go. See if Terry's actually got around to doing it.
Unlikely.
Yeah, please join in. We've got like 200 and something people now. Show how good you are at predicting how well or badly people are going to do. And I think you get a load of money. And I believe Jolyon Palmer is probably pretty good value right now, because I can't believe his price has stayed very high.
Is that good value, though? That's like saying, look, there's a bucket of shit here on the floor for 20p. Oh, 20p's a cheap price, but what do you get for your 20p? A bucket of shit.
We'll move on to the state of F1 with Terry Saunders.
Goodbye, Halo. Goodbye, Halo. Halo, goodbye. Goodbye, Halo. Now we have a shield. Essentially, they've gone for a new cockpit protection system that is basically that bit of transparent Lego that ends up buried in the carpet waiting for the soft flesh of a parent's foot. This is the first sign of weakness from Liberty Media. By allowing a third option for head protection to be just mandated without any flair or discussion is exactly the Bernie way of doing things. And it's such an awful compromise. It's basically just a big helmet visor in front of the helmet and its own tiny visor. This week, the powers that be have mandated that numbers and driver names have to be massive on the cars. So why not go the whole hog and just mandate that the helmets have to be fucking huge as well? Just a massive helmet and a tiny car. Brilliant. But to solve this problem, which I will, we need to work out exactly what the problem is. The definition of Formula 1 is down to 2 things: open cockpits and open wheels. What does this mean really? I mean, it means that there's not a big bubble over the driver or a tin roof, because otherwise, how will you know it's a Formula 1 car? Well, if having your head wagging about is just asking for debris to hit it, it's so fucking important, then why bother with a fucking helmet at all? How many of the current Formula 1 drivers would opt not to wear a helmet if they didn't have to? None, that's how many. So quit whining about how some plastic protection looks silly and man up and use an open face helmet made of leather like what drivers used to wear. The other problem with open cockpits is it's a nightmare for aerodynamicists who hate having the driver bobbing around ruining your precious airflow. This is the biggest argument against head protection yet, as anything to piss off aerodynamicists is worth it, as it's been proven time and time again they will fuck everything up. Don't worry, I have a solution. Sometimes to look forward we must look back. How do we solve the problems of necessary head protection and also do a fuck you to the aero people? Well, pillboxes, like what they used to use in the war. I propose a cockpit being covered in a massive, I'm not going to say concrete, let's go perspex, dome, but in the most aero-unfriendly shape possible. And to keep the ethos of open cockpit racing, there will be a large eye slit in the front. The wind will still hit the driver and it will further screw out the aero. And on top of this, the cockpit cover will be so strong we won't need helmets, so we can see the drivers' heads. And this sounds like a joke, but Renault did their concept car of what a 2027 car will look like for Formula 1, and they had visor things with transparent helmets, because we want to see what the drivers look like. Ocon. And if the wind is going through the hole too much, they can just wear a visor. So no helmet, just a visor. So they can have a hole
like
for the pill box.
and
then just like those things they wear for poker. You know, like a green visor thing. Or lasers. Tiny lasers that zap debris that comes close. In fact, this is a fucking brilliant idea. Like they've got the things for like asteroids and shit, right? If a bit of debris comes close... this is a great idea. In fact, no helmet or cockpit cover, just one of those purple lights you used to get in chip shops that zap flies, but modify it so it zaps debris and gravel.
I like it.
Brilliant. Then we don't need any helmets, just a purple glow.
I think the industry is listening.
About fucking time. I've been proven right time and time again. Don't ask for proof.
I do recall reading about when sort of full face helmets were first mandated that the drivers did have a problem with it, because they did use open face for ages, and like it took quite a while to get them to wear full face helmets, because they're like, oh, I won't be able to see properly and stuff. So you might be on something, that there's always going to be natural.
I mean, I would love it if Alonso just turned out with a bit of leather wrapped around his head. Yeah, what's the point? I'm not going to get for speed anyway. What's the point?
Well, Terry, we look forward to reading the comments on Drive Tribe.
Me too.
So that is it from us. It is goodbye to Phil Tromans.
Goodbye. We haven't had time to talk about Billy Munger, 17-year-old British driver who most unfortunately lost his legs in a rather horrible crash in Formula 4 a couple of weeks ago. So we wish him well, and it's been rather positive to see the motorsport community come together to raise quite a lot of money for him. We did mention this on our Facebook page and posted a link to his Just Giving page, and quite a few of our listeners did contribute, so thank you very much to them for doing so.
Good on you.
And to Terry Saunders.
We also don't have time to talk about my new campaign to make Formula 1 great again, and that is, by the end of this year, I have to get in a room with Jolyon Palmer and interview him.
I thought you were going to say, like, beat the shit out of him.
Well, you know, interview it first, and then we'll see how it goes. You know, as his cachet dies down and down and down, I think we've got a chance to get him.
What? When you say get him, I mean, what's your end game in this? What are you expecting?
To call him a bellend to his face. Anything else is a bonus.
You're just going to drive him to Switzerland, as you were talking about earlier.
Do you know what? No, I think he's surrounded by people like his dad who say he's really good. I think he needs someone like me. Maybe he'll employ me for 2018 when he's working in Tesco's or something.
We'll be back in 2 weeks' time to discuss whether McLaren really can get a podium by Barcelona. It is the Spanish Grand Prix. In the meantime, though, check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/for-F1's sake, and make sure you follow us on Twitter. It's @for-F1's sake. Buy FF1S merch. We've got mugs and t-shirts and miniskirts and duvet covers and
other stuff.
Notebooks, clocks, phone tattoos.
Terry, what's the URL?
www.ff1s.com/shop.
Thank you for listening. Please tell your friends about the podcast and leave us a review on iTunes. It really helps us out. I've been Cheeka. Goodbye.
Bye.